Adam, I want to thank you for joining us here on Gain, and wanted to chat with you quickly about the Lineage project. And maybe you can fill us in first a little bit about yourself and the job you do, and then we'll get talking about that project.
Sure, thank you. It's good to be here. My name is Adam Ramdin. I live and work in the United Kingdom. For those of you for the North England Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, I work as a youth director, so work with young people, young adults, and that's my day job, so to speak. I'm married, have one son, and live just outside Nottingham, England.
Awesome. How far away from London? I've been to London. That's about it.
About 2 hours straight north of London.
Okay. Awesome.
Roughly.
So
about 2 hours away, yeah.
Tell us about this this Lineage project, where the idea first started and how long ago that was.
Sure, Lineage, the idea started, it would be close to, I don't know, around 4 years ago now. I was youth director back in 2016, and one of the young people that I worked with in capacity as youth director, who filmed sermons and came to camp meeting and did that kind of media work, he approached me with an idea to film a few videos on the great controversy, which he was currently reading at the time. He said, let's do some videos in London, and I said, okay, well, let's go to Oxford and Cambridge and Lutterworth as well, because they're all sites that I'd visited many times when we have overseas speakers come to visit England. I said, oh, we could go film a few episodes there as well. I said, let's go to Scotland as well. Somewhere the idea just kind of grew from there. So that was the initial idea that started. It was the videographer who approached me, and then we kind of put our minds together and came up with the idea to create a series of videos initially in 2017 that would cover the Reformation and the early church. And the idea was to release one every week and lead up to October 31st and beyond, and make it a weekly series. And that was the initial idea. Started from a few videos and it turned into a year series, so to speak.
Yeah, right. So that was Clive Coutet, was it?
Yeah, that's Clive Coutet.
Does he have a lot of
great
videography experience behind him, or was this one of his first major projects?
In Adventism, it may be his, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. He has a lot of experience behind him. He did a degree in videography, or I don't know exactly what the title was, and he had done a lot of church work. He'd also helped to start a few of the ministries before that, and he works in the secular world as well for using his skills there. He worked for Sky Sports and editing Premier League football games and that kind of stuff. So
wow.
It wasn't like his first gig. He had education and experience, secular and in church and stuff. But this was I actually had no idea how gifted and talented he was. He just used to edit sermons for me, which is, if you know what editing is, that's basic. And that's all he would do. I had no idea he had all these, this editing skill that was far superior to anything I'd ever seen before. So it was a pleasant surprise when I got the first draft video.
Awesome. So what was the first series meant to be? Was it meant to be, just a couple of hours of Reformation content, or did you imagine a whole first season?
From when we started, his idea was just was a few videos. By the time we kind of birthed the idea, I don't know exactly how the conversation went. I can't remember. It was to have a series of videos that would go every day, every week of the year. At the time, we were releasing devotional videos on the NEC Youth YouTube channel every Friday. And that was something we were doing all throughout the year. So we just said, oh, well, we'll do these videos on Wednesday then. So we have a content for another day of the week. And that was the idea. So it initially was an idea to do it on a weekly basis throughout 2017, just because it was another day of the week that we didn't have content. We had something on Monday, we had something on Friday. So this was now something on Wednesday. And so initially kind of was a project that was birthed by the under the youth department that I was running.
Yeah. And where did initial funding come from? Did your youth department budget cover that?
It did initially, but when I say it covered the logistical expenses of the travel and the accommodation and things like that. It covered maybe a small, no, not even equipment. I think Clive bought his own equipment that year, and it didn't cover any editing because I said, Clive, you know, how are you gonna do this? Because I don't have a budget to pay you. And he said, well, it's a passion of mine. I'm gonna, you know, I'm doing it for free. I said, okay, you know, so the budget that we had that year was ridiculously small. It just covered the expenses, and everything else, whether it was him or other people who came, it was all a complete sacrifice of time, and not just on set, but afterwards as well.
Okay, so talking about the project now, with the episodes that I've seen, at least, there's sort of 4 to 5 minutes of topical chunks that come through. What does the process look like for filming one of those? Is there a specific list of episodes you're trying to shoot and you write scripts very specifically, or you just travel around and looking for locations that have some relevance and shooting on the spot? How do you organize it?
We plan before we get there, so we'll do some research on where we're going. I guess it would start off with planning out the episode topics or titles to start with, and you know, with the Adventist history, would look through Adventist history and see which are the key people or events that we think would fit, and then ask the question: is there any location to film them? If there's no location to film, then something may get crossed off the list, because it's hard to create content if you're just filming in a barren field somewhere. With the current season on Creation to Kings and, you know, the biblical history, there will be a fair few episodes where there's not exactly a specific location, but we still have a lot of B-roll on site. So the idea would be, with the current one on season 3, which is covering the Bible, we want to cover the main people and characters throughout the Bible narrative. And so we just look through the Bible, look through the Conflicts of the Age series, and pick out. And it's kind of a tough one because we're cutting out so much good stuff as well. But we can't be doing 500 episodes, if you know what I mean. You've got to try and keep it.
You can.
Eventually, but we may go back and do some. But I think, you know, to release a season of like 12 or 15 or 20 is more palatable than this is a first, you know.
Is there like a film fixer that goes ahead of you and gets approval on your locations that you're filming, or do you just have to show up and hope that you can film there yourself?
We show up and hope for the best. I mean, there's a lot of things that we wish we could do, maybe if we had budget or time to plan. All of us are doing this part-time. I may use holiday or get a little bit of time from work, and everyone else is using holiday. So none of us really have had time thus far to go ahead of time and scout out. So we're often driving, scouting, shooting, all like in the moment. And it's kind of run and gun, I guess, is one of the words I've heard the camera guys use. We just kind of get there and figure it out. So it would be nice, but we haven't either had the time or the budget to do that, unfortunately. So we do as much research as we can online ahead of time in terms of where we may want to film, and, you know, read around the places and locations, but that's as much as we do at the minute.
Yeah. Give me a bit of an idea of the how the content's organized, because I have seen some long episodes or some half-hour or hour-long sort of chunks, but then I've seen a lot of these 4 to 5 minute episodes. Is there specifically just seasons that cover different topics, or is it just you go wherever you can and make as much as you can content?
It's actually all of them are 5 minutes long. The longer ones that you would have seen that are 30 minutes, or just us stitching them together for broadcast TV. So we just stitched them together for a 28.5 for broadcast, but it was just a collection of the 5 minute episodes anyway. So that's kind of our standard format, to do them short, shareable. Our target audience was social media, and still is social media. Hope Channel and a few of the 3ABN and a few of the places have picked them up and they broadcast them. And that's great. You know, we get people that watch them through that, but our target audience was always social media, and still is, you know, YouTube, Facebook, and so on. So the short formats for that. And I forget the second part of the question you asked.
Yeah, that's all right. Me too. I was just wondering if that. I was just wondering, like, what sort of organization there was around the way that you're filming it. So are you doing specific series on countries? Are you doing it by country, or are you doing it by topic?
Okay, at the minute we're doing it by, I guess topic would be the answer to your question. We are, season 3 is the Bible. So what we've done is we just split the Bible into 4 sections, 2 sections on the Old Testament, 2 on the New Testament. So rather than being a one long continuous, for example, 70 episode series, we've broken it down to have, 15 and then a break and then another 20 and then a break and then another 15, partly just to kind of keep it in more bite-sized pieces. And also it gives the editors, breaks in between as well. Mm-hmm. We learned from doing 48 episodes and then doing 52 episodes. It's quite heavy on the editor to just have, be churning out 52 episodes weekly. So it just gives us a little bit more time. We can promote the different seasons in between as well, and gives up, time for people to catch up as well, because not everyone watches them every week.
Yeah, it's a huge. How many episodes are you up to in total now?
We have released in total 48 plus 52 plus 13 or 14. So it's around about 100, and there's a few extra ones, maybe 116, 17 have been released so far. And then there's the behind the scenes videos as well. But in terms of episodes, maybe 116. And by the time we finish this season 3, it would probably be up to about 180.
Wow.
Once it's all released.
So what do you think some of the key things you've learned from when you got started to now? Things you've got way better and faster at, or just things you're doing more efficiently now?
When we started, a few things. I think I guess my memory's got better for memorizing. That's one. So we're quicker on set than before. When we started, Clive said, don't script, just kind of write points and talk. But then he didn't like there to be any ums, ers, pauses, or breaks. So then we started, after maybe the first 15 or so, started scripting and memorizing, and then that sped things up a lot, because it just sped things up. So that's one thing that we learned on set. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a teleprompter at the time, so I didn't even know that I had the option not to memorize. But anyway, that's how we've done it always, and that's kind of the way we do it, and it just is easier. I think Clive as well, with the editing process, it's gotten quicker. He's got a format, he's got a structure, so I know that whereas it was taking him X number of hours, it's shorter now. So those are, I guess, a few of the things that have, sped up in terms of, it means when we hit a location, and if we have the full team there, we can really get through it quicker. Someone does the B roll, someone does the A roll, someone does the photography, and everyone kind of knows their roles when we get to a place. And if we don't have any challenges with anything else, we can bang out the recording quicker than we maybe used to. Yeah.
Awesome. So a project like this obviously is useful content around the world. It's not just the youth department's responsibility to fund something like this. So how have you gone about monetizing the content, or have you been able to sell the content to Christian television stations, or you just have to fundraise on your own?
We haven't really sold the content to the Christian stations. Maybe that's a weakness of our team in terms of our marketing department. But in terms of Adventists, we've had a few donations that have come from some of the channels who show it, but it's not been something we've always insisted. It's something that some have given and some haven't. We've always wanted to have it as freely shared as possible, with more of a, I guess you'd say, an evangelistic mindset than a monetary mindset, just to get it out there in as many places as possible. So a lot of people have translated it or dubbed it. What we have done is we've just asked for donations, and we have a Patreon page as well, which has been quite fruitful in the last year or so since we started it. So I guess our model is, we produce it and release it for free, and then we rely on donations that come in, as opposed to kind of monetizing the viewing of it.
Mm-hmm. And is that now quite sustainable? Are you able to pay your editor rather than them just doing this for the love of the project now?
We do. I don't think I still think we're not paying them a full daily rate. So there is still a lot of sacrifice in terms of if you compared what we give him to what he would charge, you know, Joe Bloggs who comes and asks for a job, it's different, but you know, it's still
awesome.
It's more than
better than nothing.
Better than nothing. Yeah.
What do you think? Was there a lot of thought put into initially who the target audience would be, other than just like people on social media? Was there any focus on who you were trying to reach, how you were trying to reach them, and where you were trying to take them?
In terms of where we're trying to take them, yes. In the journey of the videos, I guess you say the story that we went through initially, the idea was everything would be chronological and build through season 1 and season 2. So the idea would be we'd take people on a journey from the early church all the way through the Reformation and then leading up through Adventism. That was kind of the journey for that. Now we're going back in time, and the idea is we're taking people on the journey through the Bible. Not an archaeological series, but the story, the narrative of the Bible is where we're trying to take them. So yeah, that in that sense, I guess we've kind of, the idea is everything kind of builds and goes from week to week if people follow us on that, but they can still stand alone as a standalone episode as well if people just watch the 1 or 2.
Yeah. Is there any strategies to link people through to Bible studies, or is that those ideas still open for discussion and development?
We do have some study guides for the series on the Reformation, and we've promoted those through our website. It's on the Apple Bookstore at the minute, and we're working on getting it on the Android store. So there is an link to that, and eventually we hope to have study guides for season 2 and then for season 3 as well. So it's not so much a Bible study, more like a small group resource, I would probably say. And then
distribution strategy. Have you found that certain channels are better than others, or are you getting more traction with certain parts of the world than other parts of the world?
In terms of location, America is probably our biggest. England is our second. Philippines, Australia are 3rd and 4th, around there. And after that, it varies. Initially, when we released them, we were getting bigger views on Facebook. Now, you probably know this more than I had. I'm not sure what happened somewhere in 2018 or 19. They changed some algorithms, and it's harder to get views on there now if you don't pay. So, to boost your post, initially we were just relying on organic traction. We did boost several of our posts on there, and then you could target what countries you boost them in. But I stopped doing that in the last year. I've stopped paying to boost posts on Facebook. I find it's a bit of I don't know. It's almost, I don't know if it's the best analogy. It's almost like they treat you like you're addicted to a drug. Once you pay it, once you got to keep coming back, because I don't know what it does to I don't know the technical side of it enough, or the marketing side of it enough, but once you've boosted one, it's kind of like you're hooked on to keep on boosting. So I wanted to get away from that. I'd rather put money elsewhere. We still get decent views and shares on there, but I just wanted to rely on organic traction for that. YouTube is the one that we've really kind of put our energy into building that audience. I find the Facebook audience, you may get, say 4, 5 or 10 or 20,000 views in the first week, and that's it. You never get views on that video again. They kind of, they get lost on the timeline and it's over. Whereas YouTube, if you build your subscribers, it's harder initially than building likes on Facebook, because you can't invite anyone to subscribe to your channel. So, but building the subscribers has really helped. And once your subscribers go, then your views go. So initially our YouTube views were way lower than our Facebook. Now it's the other way around. YouTube is way higher than Facebook. And those views are steady, that you don't get the initial jolt in the arm or boost straight away, but they just steadily keep going up. And so that's been where we've been pushing our Instagram post and our Facebook post, encouraging people to go into YouTube and subscribe and just build that one up, slowly but surely. And it's paying off in the end.
So after 3 years of releasing some pretty solid quality content, is there any good feedback or testimonies that you've had from viewers?
We have had several good testimonies or feedbacks from viewers. We get the comments on Facebook. sorry, on YouTube videos that say things like, you know, I'm an atheist, but this is pretty cool content, or I'm not a Christian, but I'm watching this. We have quite a number of people that have told us that they have been shown these videos in school. Like school kids come up to us. I was down in Australia, and a couple of school kids came, and they weren't from an Adventist school or Christian school, but they said our teacher showed us these in religion class or history class, and just like, you know, how on earth did that happen? But that's, you know, that's pretty cool. Even here in the UK, I've had when I've been traveling to the churches, I had 2 school kids that came up to me and told me that their religion or their history teacher showed a, you know, through a Lineage video on in class. One of them was a Adventist kid that goes to a Catholic school whose teacher was an atheist, and it was a religion class. So there's a whole lot of different dynamics there. But he was using, you know, episode 3 in his class. So that's encouraging when we hear that it's used out. You know, we know that a lot of churches show it. We know a lot of schools, Adventist schools use it. A lot of Adventist, you know, history teachers use it. But when we hear outside of our faith community, people are using it, that's quite encouraging. We had someone that told us, you know, I had one person that came up to me and said, you know, it was what him and his wife bonded over and used to save their marriage. They were really struggling, and they started watching Lineage together, and it led them to Bible study, and, you know, kind of, you know, things kind of got back again. There was another person who wrote to us and told us, you know, when this COVID-19 pandemic hit, they were, for want of a better term, isolated on a maybe this sounds a bit idyllic, on a desert island, but not really. But they had a job in tourism. Tourism tanked. They were sat on this, you know, island somewhere with nothing to do, and he just started binge watching Lineage. And this is someone who had been, you know, active Adventist. They had wandered from God. They binge watched because one of their friends got them onto it, and after binge watching it, you know, it got them back on track spiritually, and, you know, in their spiritual life. So we've heard a number of stories like that of people who, you know, it's just rooted and grounded them, or it's brought them back to God, or, you know,
awesome.
It's just,
yeah. So it's been used to save a marriage. You don't know if it's been used to create any marriages yet?
Not yet. We're not sure, but I'm hopefully.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. We'll see if we can get that one on the cards. Where to from here? What's next after this project? You've got the Bible series, of course.
Bible series, and yeah, so we've still got content that will take us through probably until all through 2021, and probably the first half of 2022. We still have places to film, though, to finish that. There's a few countries that we need to get to. Hopefully, with COVID restrictions lifting, or throughout this year, we'll be able to get to them. After that, we've got a few ideas. We'd love to do a series. We've got a few ideas on what we'd like to do with, but there's plenty of ideas there. There's other places we'd like to film. We've never been to Africa or South America, and there's a lot of good stories to share from those continents that we'd like to share, or even maybe do something longer. Part of me says we could just go back to Europe and film another season 1 on the Reformation and just fill in all the gaps that we missed on the first time. Yeah. People really seem to appreciate the Reformation history. So we're looking at going back and doing some more stuff on Luther, or just episodes of the lives, or if other reformers we just didn't even cover. So we'll see. I'd love to do a series on missionaries as well, either Christian missionaries or Adventist missionaries. That's another one I'd love to do, and show the stories of how the work started in different parts of the world.
If you could take this full time, would you? That might be something you don't want to answer necessarily on air, but, you know, is there that much passion for this project that you would make full-time spiritual content if you could?
I think everyone on our team would if they could, to be honest. If we could, we would. Yeah, I think it's something that we're all passionate about. I mean, the fact that people for the last 3 years have essentially sacrificed holiday time or taken unpaid leave from work to go and film, and it's something they, you know, we put out content that looks very professional, but and as you know, it takes time behind the scenes to get that, and so it's something that takes our time, but it's something we like to do. I would love to do that, but, you know, it's got to be something that's feasible, and not just for me, but for, you know, others on the team as well.
Yeah, for sure. Adam, thanks for your time. If there was a way that this audience, anybody watching this, could help you, what would it be? How can they get behind this project and support it?
If people wanted to, we still every now and then need people that will help us in terms of different areas of our team. People can always get in touch and ask us if we need help, or if they want to financially support, that's also a way they can. Our website, lineagejourney.com/donate, is a way to do that. There's different options there. One of the main ones is through Patreon. A lot of people have joined our Patreon community and family over the last year and just donate on a monthly basis. And it's those small donations that really help, that make a difference. So, but we're just thankful for everyone who has supported us over the years and continues to do so. It really makes, everything makes a difference, and it's all a blessing.
Sure. And we'll be sure to add the YouTube channel in the description below this video so people can click right through to that as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, well, Adam, thanks for your time. I love the project. I'd love to see more of it, and hopefully it continues to grow as the Lord leads. So blessings to the team.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time.
All right, we'll talk soon.